gewesen mit Nacht, aber es gewesen Sachiden, was geratidisch, was was gedenkt, was aus dem Kippur, was aus Matzes, das hat gewesen 28 Jahre zurück.
So 28 years ago, he met many Jews that spoke Yiddish. They knew about the holidays, and they knew about good kosher food and recipes. And this was all 28 years ago when he arrived to the town.
In jener Zeit noch vielleicht gehen Pampers in die Geschäften. Gebracht hat von Amerika. Ich denke, sie kommen Pampers in die Geschäfte, wenn jeder Geschäft 1-2 Pampers. So gehen alle Geschäften suchen. Also ich gekauft alle Pampers von alle Geschäften.
He went around buying for his children the Pampers. Pampers was not a commodity on the shelves there. So he went around buying whatever he can. Then he would, from America, ship some Pampers.
Aber es gewähnt idische Arzen, das gewähnt.
He felt that there was Jewish hearts. There were Jews with Yiddish heart.
Meshach die Jahren, mal Poshet, sie gewohnt chesamäßig. Erstens, das Sachiden von jener Zeit umgefahren. Noch anhand, Iden umgefahren, noch anhand. Und mit der anderen Seite, so hat es angehen, wachsen, die neue Dor von Iden, was von angehen lernen, von den Kindergarten, angehen wachsen und bauen, Poshet, wissen, Idischkeit von klein, von wenn, ich habe da ein Bocher, was
oh, 1 second. So he felt that the community was growing, and he felt it was like a resurrection of Yiddishkeit. There were Jews that were warm, but when he came there and his wife, they started to bring the Yiddishkeit, and it started to grow like a resurrection, like a new thing that was just never there. Yeah,
ich habe jetzt ein Bocher, was heißt Moshe Eliyahu. Gewinnt der erste Engel, was gewinnt sein Sandig, wenn gewinnt 8 Tag. Alle anderen Brissen bei der Karte gewinnt 2 Jahre, 5 Jahre, 10 Jahre, 50 und ich weiß nicht, 70 Jahre. Der erste, was 8 Tage, hat er Brissen in der 8. Tag. Moshe Eliyahu.
He's saying there was a boy years ago that he was involved in making the bris for this kid at 8 days old. And now this kid's a growing up, teenage kid. He was the only kid at those times that had a bris at 8 days. When he came to town, he was organizing a brissin for people that were 30, 50, 70 years old. People were getting brissin because I'm just going to explain, because until 1990, until communists fell, it was very difficult or dangerous for Jews to have a brissin. So after that, when these shluchim came to town, they were able to help these Jews do what they had to do. Yeah.
Sein älter Bobbe, gedenke ich, sie hat gefasst im Kippur, gegessen noch koscher, gegessen noch Matzes in Pesach. Sein Bobbe schon gewusst, Yom Kippur. Die Mama nicht gewusst gar nicht. Aber ein der Bocher liegt viel jeden Tag. Und fast im Kippur, und es koscher, prüft. Aber jeder Schabes kommt die Schule der Schabes. Kämpft jeder Jahr zum Chaster, kämpft die Agbe. Poster hat das Pschittes von einer jüdischer Woche.
So this kid today is a grown up boy, and he has a very edel, very sweet neshama. And his grandparents knew about Yom Kippur and even fasted, but his parents did not. And he was brought up with 0. But now he's adopted it all, and he's totally involved in his Yiddishkeit.
Der Bocher 2 Tage zurück hat beschlossen, also geht Borach, lebt von der Stadt mit noch ein ganzer Boss von Eden, was ich auch begrossen, gewinnt. Und gefahren weg von Stadt.
He said this young man decided to run away from the city now, together with a bunch of other guys by bus. Yeah.
Die Mama ist nicht gewollt fahren. Mama ist noch in Städtel, in zhitamir.
His mother was scared to leave now, but he decided to leave.
Und ich habe genommen einen ganzen Hotel. Sie ist ein Platz, sie ist Yaremche. Sie leben die Grenze von Rumänien.
Oh, du hast gebooked a hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rabbi Wilhelm booked the whole hotel next to the border. Which border? Whatever, one of the countries on the west.
Dem Rumänien.
Next to Romania, okay.
Und die Woche dort nicht gekommen. Ein der früher beschlossen, zum gesagt, dass dort ein Platz, wir können gehen dort und dort da Yarok, wie gesagt, Korridor, ein Platz, wir können rübergehen zu der anderen Medine, ohne Probleme.
A bridge.
Nicht ein Bridge, wir kennen das spezielle Sache für alle Plitim, wir können dort gehen und ohne Probleme gehen. Was das Problem ist,
they found a path somehow to escape over the border somewhere.
das Problem ist, dass alle Bochrim, was über 18 Jahre, alle Menschen, bis 60 Jahre, können nicht rausgehen von Medina jetzt. Sie dürfen gehen zu der Armee.
The Ukrainians have set a law now that between 18 and 16 between 18 and 60-year-old males, men, they cannot leave the country. They must stay there to help for the warfare.
Na Sache, die Mischproche ist unsere, ist jetzt geschickt die Weib und die Kinder raus, aber sie haben geblieben da, können nicht rausgehen. Es war mich, weiß was wir sein.
Many people sent their wives and kids away and they stayed.
Und kann nicht echt rausgehen, weil schon 23 Jahre jetzt, also 24 Jahre. Ich soll beschlossen, also kann rausgehen von dem Korridor, von dem Platz, wo alle gehen raus, dort können wir rausgehen. Bei PL, hat ihn geschleppt, raus in der Weg, wo sie dort nicht rausgehen, dann gehe ich die Polizei. Und Kitzer, Baruch Hashem hat Weg geschickt, Ende von der Polizei einfach gemacht. Schleppt, aber Kitzer hat gesagt, dass er da ist und gewusst, und Baruch Hashem wird befreit geworden von der Polizei.
So basically, they were trying to escape this 34-year-old boy, and they thought there was a good way to get out, and the police caught them. And they realized they're the age that they're not allowed to leave, and they wanted to arrest them, but they made a whole thing, or they made an excuse. It was a mistake, whatever. So the bottom line is he got freed. They didn't arrest him, but he initially can't even gain them gvul.
So, was ein Beispiel, was mir geht darüber hinein, was tut sich da ein. Wir reden auf 28 Jahre, was mir Gebäude Keile, was wir führt beweisen Bilder, sie redet sich da auf a school mit 150 jüdische Kinder, Kindergarten mit 30 jüdische Kinder.
This is the tragedy what's going on now. For 28 years, they built this community, as you saw those pictures that I showed of his of the school. What else did you have there? A school, an orphanage,
Ja, so Kinder von ganz Ukraine, von zerbrochenen Stäbe, von Yisraelim, verschiedene Sachen.
So kids from broken homes and kids without parents, Rabbi Wilhelm and his family, they set up a orphanage home for the school has 150 kids. Wie viele Menschen sind in the orphanage home, the basic segment?
60 jüdische Kinder.
60 kids in the orphanage home is there. And
da Talmuteres, da Sonntagskurs, da ganze JCC, da Keile von der Pondert Eden, was kommen in Schule jeden Tag da lernen, spielen, kommen warme essen. Mamisch, alle bitte gesagt.
There's a school there and grounds where they could play. I actually have a video, but I only have it on my phone, and I wasn't able to upload it to the computer. I wanted to show the video of the kids playing there and singing there, of these hundreds of kids. Rabbi Wilhelm, you have also a food, kosher food, a restaurant or something there you had also?
Wir haben einen ganzen Plan von Restaurant, von Menschen, die kommen schlafen, die kommen da wohnen, die alle ähnliche Plätze da. Da Plätze, die kommen schlafen und essen.
Now I get it. 2-3 years ago, my oldest son went to Sumy, Ukraine for Pesach, but he stopped in Zhitamir, and he stayed by this. Rabbi Wilhelm has like this whole place with bedrooms and washrooms and a place to eat, and they have a restaurant, pizza shop, I think, and where people that lodge, because around Zhitamir is a very holy sites there, and hundreds of people go there all the time to go to these holy burial sites, the famous Barditchever Rebbe, and there's also a few of the Chabad Rebbes are buried in Ukraine. So there's a lot of traffic that goes through there. So all this was built in the last 28 years. Now, Rabbi Wilhelm, tell us, please, so what's happening now with the school, all these families, the kids, what's going on?
Okay. Wir alle wissen, dass schon eine ganze Zeit ist, mit Streit, Gesang und Chome. aber da in Ukraine kennen nicht geglebt, als kein seiner Sache. Es geht seiner Sache. Man hat gelebt, Leben, ruhiger Leben, normale Leben. Menschen da in Ukraine, Porsche, trachten jeden Tag, wie zu leben den Tag, zu haben, trinken und essen und sein ruhig. Das sind die Menschen da. Kennen nicht getracht, dass man will etwas angenehm im Zweiten, will etwas machen schlechter im Zweiten. Das ist nicht immer Tag von keinem Menschen da.
So the last month, there's been talk that a war is probably going to happen, but the mentality and the people were so calm. Nobody believed that there would be war. They were living, just moving along with their lives, eating, drinking, going to school. It was as if there was nothing going to happen. Nobody really truly believed that there would be a war that would really happen.
Donnerstag, eine Woche zurück, Donnerstag in der Früh, 5 Tag, mit dem Mal, mehr Sirene, mehr Bombes, und die Kinder, unsere jüdische Kinder, kleine Kinderlach, die ganzen Platz von die Besisemim, Besilodim, sein und leben dort. Dort und da leben nicht weit dort und da Lager, Machane Zwei. Mit einmal mehr dort eine Bombe und die Kinder öffnen die Kinder eben weinen stark und wir alle verstehen als ernst.
So last Thursday morning at 5 a.m., which by the way was about 2 hours after last Wednesday night, we did a Zoom with Rabbi Levitansky from Sumy, Chil Shloimeh, and Rabbi Munshine from Smolensk. We did it with our group here in Toronto. We had a Zoom with them, and they were telling us, "It's mamash ruik, it's calm there." And then 2 hours later, we heard the war was start, which is 5 o'clock your time in the morning. And he's saying that the orphanage home that he has there is very close to an army base, and they heard the sirens and the bombs falling there, and it woke up all the kids in terrible fright and screaming. Yeah.
Der Minute ich beschloss, mir geht raus von da. Gleich geklungen zu mein Haver in Tschernowitz, was lem Rumänien, aber Glitzstein, sagt Glitzstein, such mir gleich a Platz, hat nicht was, wie viel es wird kosten, was es wird kosten, nehmen für mir ein Hotel von 200 Menschen. Wow. In 2 Jahren hat gehabt ein Hotel, ich habe genommen Bosses, wenn sehr schwer gefunden Bosses, weil gleich kenne ich die fahren, aber es hat ich mal getroffen ein Boss, 2 Bosses und genommen die Kinder, mit Spoches, was wollen dort in die Städte und alle gleich rausgegangen, gleich direkt bis schon auf sich.
So this is actually very important information because in this side of the world, people think that nobody wanted to leave. Rabbi Wilhelm is saying that immediately, as soon as he heard the bombs, he right away organized buses and he started telling everybody, we got to get you out. He called his friend, who's the rabbi in Chernovitz in Romania, and he said, book me a hotel with 200 rooms. And he said, I don't care what it costs. We got to get everybody out safely. And he got all these buses. People were obviously reluctant to leave right away, but he pushed everybody to go. And many busloads of people started packing out from zhitamir. Yeah.
Die Mischpaare von den Schluchen von den Rabbonim haben gesagt, okay, wir fahren für 2 Tage, wir genommen ein paar Kleider, wir fahren und das ist im Moment, dass wir geworden mit Schuge. Was ist?
Rabbonim in zhitamir.
Die was arbeiten in die offen ist, die alle
Schluchen dort. The staff, the staff and rabbis that help out and their wives, they thought you're crazy, you're off your wall. We're going to leave Ukraine now. We're here for so many years to establish this whole setup. But they'll pack up stuff for 2-3 days. You know?
Bepeil Mamesh, die letzte Woche, ich bin da in zhitamir, ich schlafe nicht gemacht, und 24 Stunden, wir suchen Bosses mit Maschines. Ich habe schon eine Rüber genommen von zhitamir, gemacht 600 oder 700 Iden von zhitamir, was fahren eine ganze Zeit zu den Gretins. Ich habe schon 3 Hotels, was dort, es geht darüber die ganze Zeit, dort gemacht 300 Menschen. Fahren kommen neue. Die fahren weg später zu Rumänien und ich bringe neue Iden von zhitamir.
So these hotels are often Grenets on the Ukrainian side?
Yeah, Ukrainian side, yeah.
So far in this last week, he has around 650 people that he got out with buses. Very complicated to get buses to come and pick them up and go. He has a hotel booked that he has on the Ukrainian side. So everybody goes in there. As soon as they get over the border, he sends more busloads and they fill up the hotel until they can get over the border.
Unsere Kinderlach von die Hoffenisch gewend dort nach schönen Hotel, leben die Grenitz in Tschernowitz. Und dort gab alle gute Sachen, was man kann sein. Und beschlossen, wir warten. Sie bald noch ein Tag. Aber bei ihr Joim uns eingehen in Tschernowitz echt sein als Sirena, als Zaka.
He had this hotel in the Romanian side of the border, and he had this hotel. They were all there, and everybody was waiting comfortably, happy, waiting. And all of a sudden, they heard explosions in the Romanian side of the border.
Die Kitzer Meise noch beschlossen, aber darf rübergehen weiter. Ich habe Kinder bei mir, ich habe Kinder, was haben ich Tatu und Mame, ich habe nicht Passport, ich habe nicht Papier gemacht von sie. Warum die einzige Sache, als wissen, dass sie Iden, 100%, aber es steht gar nicht kein originale Papier, wie zu gehen weiter. Und Passport und Papieren und gar nicht. Wie geht man? Was tue ich? Ist der zolldicke Regierung und gemacht für mich einen Brief, als sie nehmen sie on Papier. Okay, aber wie gehe ich über die ganzen Grenzen von Ukraine, Rumänien? Und ich habe gemacht...
Hold on, wait a minute. So, one of the big obstacles he has is the orphanage home is many children that don't have parents, so naturally they don't have any documents, there's no paperwork. Rabbi Wilhelm knows that for a fact that these families are Jewish. Whatever he has his research, he knows that they're 100% Jewish. But the meantime, there's no papers. Now you got to start going over borders. How do you deal with that? So the Israeli government said that they will accept these Jews even without documents, without any legal. They're going to take them as long as he verifies that they're Jewish. They'll already take them, make papers in Israel. But the other borders of Romania and wherever else is an issue. Okay, yeah, what happened?
Und ich habe gehört, dass es gewinnt andere Plätze, was geprüft herausgehen, nicht gelost herausgehen. Bei PL, man geschrieben zum Reben und gebeten, und ich weiß nicht wie und was, aber alle Kinder herausgegangen, ad echod. Es redet sich da herausgegangen, es wäre Mama, ich jetzt mit Zerayim, von knapp 100 Menschen, von 70 Kindern, was alle mal rausgegangen Woche Hashem zu einem anderen Platz und jetzt alle sind in Kloz in Weg von Rumänien.
Wow. So he's saying is that he was in a total bind what to do because so many people don't have papers to get over the border, and he decided to write a letter, send it to the Rebbe, I guess to the Ohel, to the Rebbe's resting place, and ask for a bracha. And then they started traveling through the border, and he says some miraculous way, doesn't know how, he heard many other groups got turned down, but without any documents, his entire group of around 100 people and 70 of them kids, all without documents, miraculously had a Yetzias Mitzrayim, an exodus of Egypt, and they were able to cross through the border and get to the other sides without any paperwork. Crazy, wow.
Ein Tag mein Rebbetzen mit meinen 3 kleinen Kinderlach und noch 40 Menschen, echt rausgegangen zu Rumänien, und sie gehen jetzt echt zu dem Hotel, wo alle andere Kinder, und dort jetzt gemacht 140 Menschen, was warten dort zu Plane zu fahren zu Israel.
In Romania?
In Rumänien, in Kloisenburg.
Wow, so Rabbi Wilhelm saying is this is very heartbreaking. So that at least it's good so far, but his wife is with his younger 3 kids are now in Romania with a large group of from their community there. And now they're making arrangements now to get airlifted from Romania to Israel.
Bepelen ist die letzte 24 Show, mehr 84 Show. Wenn ich sitze mit euch und rede mit euch in Deutschland, eine ganze Zeit, mehr Bums und mehr Sirenes, eine ganze Zeit.
Yeah, he's saying is that the last 24 to 28 hours, nonstop, all they're hearing there is bombs and sirens falling all over zhitamir. Literally, I just want to say, during the day today, when I reached out to you, Rabbi, and I WhatsApped you, and you were telling me that you can't even speak straight because you're hearing all the sounds around you. It's I guess it's a frightening thought, but that's what he's hearing there the last day. So your wife is there with 3 kids in Romania. Wow. Okay, yeah.
Bepel Mamesh ist morgen früh, ich habe nicht so ein Kimbrere, und ich darf echt fahren, weg von da. Und sie sind eine schwere Sache, da sagen wir, die Iden, was geblieben da, also man geht da weg, aber mit Hashem, wir sind da, die Arbeit geht weiter, weil da noch eine Sache jüdische Mensch, was darf Arois mit sei. Problem ist, sie wird sehr schwer. Ich suche jetzt...
He's been asked to leave for his own safety now at this point, and it's a super difficult move for him to do is to go. But now that his wife and kids are on the other side, and most of his community now is on the other side, it looks like that he has plans now to leave tomorrow morning and to head out.
Was geht sein, mit Auftachten gut. Befehl mir geht 140 die non-Tequile, die Mischpoches, die Mikurovim, unsere Kinder, was von School, von die offen ist, im Forum zusammen zu Israel. Die zoldike Regierung gibt uns einen Platz, einen ganzen Städtel, was geht dort bauen unsere Keile, mit die Meisdes, mit die Cheder, mit die offen ist, mit die Mamesh, die ganzen Plan, was wir da, auf ganzen Städtel dort in Israel, bei ganzen Chedisch, und wer wird bleiben in der Zoll bleiben und sehen weiter, was geht sein weiter. Oder sein Ukraine, die sind
Sie werden anrufen den Platz zhitamir in Israel?
Ja, Städtel. Fahr zhitamir.
You hear in Israel, only our brotherhood in Israel can do this. They're bringing their whole community there, 140 families, plus the orphanage kids and whoever else wants to go from this community. And Israel is designating a certain area where they have some buildings, I guess they're empty and available, and they're giving it to them. And they're telling them they can make now their own new community. They're calling it zhitamir in Israel. So, well, one day we're going to have to come to zhitamir. But he said Israel is saying whoever wants to stay for good, stay for good. If you want to go back, go back. But they're making it available for the Jews to come there.
Aber viel Mamesh, die derweil wir arbeiten da und wir arbeiten Tag und Nacht zu geben Menschen essen, zu alle Städtlach, zu alle Dörflach. Und es ist sehr schwer, weil Menschen oben mehr fahren jetzt in die Gassen. Und es ist schwer, bei jeder Städtel, jeder Gasse, dort steht Polizei, steht Soldaten und man guckt jede Maschine. Und Kitzer, es ist Mamesh nicht normal, was zu sagen.
He's saying that, of course, we have to think positive. It's dangerous on the roads, and there's checkpoints all over the place, checking people's documents. And why are they checking documents? To see if you're over 60 or under 18?
Ne, Bike, was da sehr Sache russische Soldaten, was drin sich, also wie ukrainische.
Behaltene.
Behaltene, yeah.
All the checkpoints are because there's a lot of Russian soldiers dressing like Ukrainians, so it's becoming very difficult. So that's why they're trying to make sure that it's only the safe people that are moving around. That's why it's that tight. Rabbi Wilhelm, is it dangerous for the buses to go on the roads? And like for tomorrow, for you to go, I mean, is there certain hours that it's safe to road?
Bis eins in die Gegend von Zhitomir und weiter ist mir kein Form. Die, wo sein, wenn in Kiew, sie darf man rausgenommen mit der Polizei, es ist dort ein Mamisch mit Schuge. Das ist auch schwerer. Von Zhitomir ein bisschen...
Geographically in Zhitamir, once you get to a certain road, it's safe to go that direction. But he said from Kiev, anybody that has to get out of Kiev, it's much more dangerous. You have to have special police escorts now to get you out.
אבל bis ein Zhitomir לפי ערך Kiew, Kharkov, Kherson, die Plätze sind wie ערך ruhig. Aber jetzt, sie sagen, dass es geht sein, dass es schwerer die Plätze reichen. Mehr besser rausgehen jetzt und nicht später.
He's saying is that the other cities that were quieter till now are now getting hit hard. So now everybody's pushing to people should get out as fast as possible.
Bekitzer, ich mitten jetzt bleibe mit alle Sachen, was ich will nehmen mit sich und mit der Machshove, also ich kann nicht wissen, was wir sein weiter. Mir sich kommen zurück, nicht kommen zurück. Es geht sein weiter Ukraine, nicht ganz weiter Ukraine. Es ist ein moderne Machshoves, weil als Machshove von Aid, mit darf alle ganze Zeit trachten, dass es geht sein gut und es geht kommen und wir bleiben nach Zoll und alle innen kommen dort. That's the richtige Machshove.
That what's going on now in his mind is he has to pack up, and you have to think of what you're going to take, what valuables you want to take, leave. Are you coming back here? You're not coming back here. Is this going to be Ukraine? Is it going to be Russia? Will we be able to get back? Will there be a community? Will there be people? Will nobody? It's so unknown, it's a super difficult challenge that obviously none of us could fathom. It's so difficult. Wow.
Ich bin da bei mir in Stub, a ganzen Zimmer, damit alles vor ihm. Und ich frage, was darf ich nehmen? Ich nehme mal mein Freu, die Pamutot, also die Kindlach. Nehmen mit sich, nicht mehr mit sich. Ich nehme alle Wochen, alles vor, ich bekomme von Reben. Das nehmen mit sich.
Yes, take with you that. That's not replaceable. Yeah, he's showing it. He's saying this is his house. Nobody's home. His wife and kids are away. And when I asked him today, actually, if he could speak with us, I said, it's 8 o'clock our time. He said, it's 3 o'clock there. He says, you know what? I'm probably not going to be sleeping 3 o'clock in the morning. So let's just do it. And we really appreciate that. He said he has to make these decisions, all his books and stuff. And his wife had to run. So she left her Shabbos candles there and this. I mean, Mistama, the Shabbos candlesticks you could get wherever you are. But right, he has some valuable books from the Rebbe gave him in his hand. He says, that I'm taking because not replaceable. And those are treasures, yeah.
Ich habe die einzige Sache, was ich kann nicht wissen, weil sie können sein, da Poshet Atoi Bavoi später in Stock. Ich sage, wie stark wird, kurz mit die Milchome. Sie da Menschen nicht was zu essen in die Geschäften. So das auch Menschen, was suchen jetzt essen. Ich habe speziell genommen jetzt Menschen, Schömrim, mit Bigs, so alten die Schule und alle Binyonim, was ledig jetzt. Aber was geht sein weiter? Wie viel Zeit auf dem Alten?
Yeah, he's saying it. So they said it could be that everything could be flattened out in rubble. We don't know. He said he hired guards with ammunition, with guns, rifles, whatever, to stand around the shul, the schools, and all this stuff. Hopefully that these buildings will stay. He said food is a major shortage, and people are scrambling now for food. What are they doing for food, Rabbi? Was tut mit Essen jetzt, Hake?
Weil ich von meinem Kiele, ich schickt Menschen, was haben Connection zu suchen, alle Plätze, aber wir können suchen, nicht suchen, wir kaufen mit Cash, Geld, und es wird teuer von Tag Sachen mehr. Schon ich kaufe bis $10,000 Food, und Menschen kommen, ich gebe sie Food, nicht Iden, und ich gebe sie Mehl mit Zucker, mit Bäumel, eine ganze Zeit ich suche, zu Mamesh mit Sugar zu suchen, zu geben Menschen.
Very busy searching for flour, for sugar, for all kinds of commodities and stuff. He says every day the prices are going up.
Und Kitzer, ein Mischugener gemacht hat, Poshet, es ist eine Katastrophe, es ist nicht normal. Nicht normal, kann ich glauben, was du sagst. Menschen normal, Eintrag geschickt, ein Boss zu der Grenitz, das ist Kinderlach, das ist Mames, Poshet weinen, verstehen nicht, was getan, was geschehen, was ist das? Stam, am Schugener, ich hab da am Schugas und schießt, vergornisch.
So difficult. He says one person lost his mind and just shooting and ordering all this for what big gain and destroying everybody in their lives. And we all know this is the crazy difficulty of we can't understand this. Yeah.
Aber man darf gedenken, dass die Stock in Scheile ist als für neue Welt, weil sie Stock in anderes was zu tun. Und man darf trachten, dass wir Iden, als die ganze Meise ist, als alle Iden kommen aus Israel in Griechen, und Griechen sind eine schöne Welt, eine gute Welt, ich habe kommen, und es ist eine bessere Welt, weil anders kann ich verstehen, was es ist. 2 Jahre Corona, und vor Corona geworden Ukraine, verstehst du?
From Corona, 2 years, Corona to Ukraine. Crazy thought. We can't imagine this. What's going to be with all the Jews that are staying? I mean, why are they staying? They can't get out, or they just want to stay?
Sie ältere Menschen, einfach geschickt ein ältere Bob in die Maschine. Sie ältere Menschen, älter ist doch Stiebe. Ich habe gesprochen 4 Kinder. Ach, jeder ist gekauft das Stub. Was sagen Sie, was ist der von meinem Stub? Nein, Stub. Es ist schwer. It's schwer, Menschen leben. It's schwer.
Some people are old. Some people are old. They just don't want to move. He said a family with 4 kids. They just bought a house, renovated everything. They're not interested in leaving. They feel like they could survive this. So you can't explain it. So whoever wants to leave, some way they could get out.
Von meiner Seite, ja, das Problem ist, dass die Boss, was genommen allemal die Menschen, hat eingefallen und gesagt, ich komme nicht zurück. Ich habe mehr schon.
Today.
Jetzt habe ich noch einen Boss von 20 Plätzen. Was morgen ich fahre mit dem mit noch Eden.
He said that the regular bus that's been traveling, taking all the groups, that guy said today, I'm too scared. It's my last group. I'm leaving. I'm not coming back. So he only has one more bus for tomorrow that could only take 20 people.
Aber ich machen alle Connections, suchen noch Bosses, weil da Minimum noch 10, 15 Bosses zu reißen mit den Menschen.
So we don't know we don't know how it's going to continue from here.
Hallo, der ist mir.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah. Oh, I lost you. No, we can hear you. Yeah.
Man darf trachten, jeder Mensch, was kann besser machen, mehr lichtig die Welt, mehr gut in die Welt. Soll sein der Spur von der Gutskeit, auch starke von der Schlechtigkeit. Muss Hashem der Rebbe sagt, dass Eulam hier Odom Roy ist Eulam Schkuli Schokol. Mein gute Meister kann beschlossen sein, eine gute Welt.
So he's concluding, but he open if somebody wants to ask a question, that he's saying is that ultimately we have to stay believers and remember that we're going to fight with the light over the darkness, and by doing more positive things and mitzvahs, learning Torah, doing a mitzvah is what helps bring more light, and ultimately this light spreads through the world and will take over all the darkness. But just before we go to the questions, I just want to show one more video here, Rabbi Wilhelm, from you today. Just I want you to tell us what this is exactly.
יהודים יקרים מכל העולם כולו.
Oh, wait. I didn't do the... Did I didn't do all of this. There you go. There. Rabbi Wilhelm's giving a speech in Hebrew with this busload of people.
עמקי נפשי. ערב ראש חודש אדר בייס נס תשפ"ב. זה האוטובוס מספר 10, וההסעה שכבר לא ספר איזה סוג הסעה הזאת.
The 10th bus.
כל יום יהודים תמימים, נושים וטף, עוזבים את ז'יטומיר ואת הקהילה מהקהילות הסביבות, מהבית שלהם. למה צריך לראות ילדים קטנים בוכים? למה צריך לראות יידיש מאמה בוכים? מה עשינו?
Why do we have to see this? Why do we have to have this? The men, women, and children should have to pack up and leave zhitamir and go to, hopefully, to safety. Why is this all happening?
בואו נתעורר היום בערב ראש חודש, נבקש מהקדוש ברוך הוא עד מוסאי, תביא כבר את הגאולה.
Let's wake up and ask Hashem already. Enough is enough. Bring already the geula, the redemption with Mashiach. Enough is enough with so much suffering.
מגיע לנו הסיפור הזה. למה צריך להיות כזה דבר? פבוס, אנא מכם, תוסיפו פרק תהילים, תוסיפו מעשה טוב.
Let's add more in a good deed, a chapter of Tehillim.
וצדקה, תתחננו.
Charity.
מספיק כבר מלחמות, מספיק עם בעיות.
Enough wars and difficulties.
אנחנו רוצים משיח עכשיו, בעזרת השם.
We want Mashiach right now with the help of Hashem, please.
מתוך שמחה, מתוך ביטחון, נזכה כל העולם כולו לחגוג את הגאולה השנה, תכף ומיד ממש.
With joy and confidence, may we merit swiftly to the coming of Mashiach. So, Rabbi, this was today, Rabbi Wilhelm, yeah?
Yes.
Wow, we can't thank you enough for sharing this with us, Rabbi Wilhelm. This means a lot to us for us to hear this firsthand. Everybody here is davening and making extra commitments to mitzvahs, and I hope everybody could make a tangible commitment in some kind of mitzvah form, because every mitzvah brings more light, and the light pushes away the darkness. I want to open it up. If anybody wants to ask a question, Rabbi Wilhelm, we all want to wish you all the best, for you, for your kehillah, for your wife, for your children, for everything Amen. That you've built up. Your work will not go in vain. Somehow, we don't know what the plan is from above, but it will not go in vain. You're there on the mission from the Rebbe to bring Yiddishkeit there at all costs, and you have done that in the highest level. And Hashem should give you all the strength that you need to continue on your journey to get to the land of Israel with all of us together with the coming of Mashiach already now.
Amen.
Amen.
Yes, Peter, welcome. Anybody?
Hi.
Yes.
How many Chabad locations are there in Ukraine?
Rabbi Wilhelm, verstanden de Scheile?
Sag Bert klar, wie viel Kiel ist es da?
Wie viel Chabad Mishpachas, communities, Kehillas sind in ganz Ukraine?
Okay, sie da in 28 Städten ist da Shluchim Rabbonim, Shluchim Roshim.
28 cities across Ukraine have chief rabbis that are Chabad families. Yeah.
Sie da offiziell kiemat 200 Shluchim.
Officially, the number is, the exact number is, obviously it's hard to know exact because more people moving out all the time, but there's approximately 200 shluchim families that are throughout the Ukraine.
Are they all stuck there now?
Ze zijn in, wie sagt man, stuck? How do you say stuck in Hebrew? No? Are they stuck there?
It's Queen, Sham.
Queen, yeah.
כמעט רוב von den Schluchim am Rausgang von Ukraine.
Today, most of the shluchim actually left. In other words, whoever's city is at a point where it's just too risky to stay, they left.
הם הולכים לישראל או חוזרים לארצות הברית?
mehr von den Schluchim sind von der בכלל seiner Soldik, mehr von den Schluchim.
Most of the shluchim, he's saying, are to begin with, they're Israelis. Most of the shluchim, imagine it's just all the years, it was always easier for Israeli couples to move to Ukraine for logistical reasons, so many reasons to move to Ukraine than for Americans. So most of them, they're Israelis, they're going back to Israel.
Mm-hmm. טוב, אז זה יכול להיות טוב בסוף.
אמן.
אמן.
אפשר לשאול שאלה צבאית?
כן.
בקשר לצבא האוקראיני?
כן.
אני רואה שהעיירה של 60 קילומטר בדרך למינסק, לעיר הבירה. אין מטוסים לאוקראינה כבר? להפציץ אותם?
אוקראינה דוגלת בתוכנית שהם לא עושים פעולה מחוץ למדינה שלהם, בשום אופן לא.
En voor het Jiddisch, ich will kennen mit Tagim sein, ja.
Die Ukraine ist sie geben achtig, zu nicht machen, gar nicht Paules, nicht in sehr Area, noch unabhängig von Ukraine. Nicht gar nicht in Belarus, nicht in Russland. Wir gehen nicht raus von sehr Medina.
Ukrainians don't leave their country, yeah.
אבל השיירה הזה מתקדמת לעיר הבירה, זו הזדמנות האחרונה לפגוע בהם, לפני שהם מגיעים לעיר. אני מדבר, אני הייתי בצבא, ואני רואה את זה, זה הזדמנות.
Ich weiß nicht, was die Taktik von der Armee von Ukraine, aber der Fakt ist, dass sie tun gar nicht, nur wenn sie gehen rein in Ukraine allein. Wenn sie gehen rein in Ukraine, dort sie eben schießen. Aber ich hätte nicht so viel... Sie haben nicht zu viel Complain. Sie warten sie dürfen bringen noch von Europa. Ich weiß nicht, gebracht, nicht gebracht. Ich höre die ganze Zeit auf die E-Mail-Plane, aber ich weiß nicht, ob es die russische oder die ukrainische.
Can you translate?
I believe what he was saying is that any armory that are coming in, and nobody's shooting or doing anything outside Ukraine. They wait till the tanks or whatever it is are in Ukraine itself, and that's when they start making their action.
Bepel Mamesh, die Armee von Ukraine, kennen uns geglebt, sie arbeiten sehr, sehr schwer. Sie haben schon abgenommen, als russische Pläne gefallen schon. Sie machen die Arbeit sehr schöne Arbeit. Sie arbeiten als schöner.
The Ukrainian army is working much better, much more efficiently. Rabbi Wilhelm, are soldiers in the Ukrainian army, a lot of them are Yidden?
Ich weiß nicht.
I guess they are.
Well, he doesn't know. The thing, because it wasn't a planned war, so...
Yeah, we don't know.
I'm sure some are, yeah.
כמה יהודים יש באוקראינה?
Officially, bis die Milchome, מיום גירת זה מינימום 250.000 Juden noch in Ukraine.
Until last week, they estimated around 250,000 Jews throughout Ukraine. And in general, life was good for a Jew till now. No, Rabbi Wilhelm? The
president is doch Haid. What's the shot?
Until the president's a Jew, exactly. Of course, it was good for them. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
טוב, אז מקווה שהם כולם יגיעו לישראל.
We're hoping until everybody gets to Israel. Yes, amen.
הלוואי.
Amen.
כן. טוב, נתפלל בשבילך.
אמן, תודה רבה. יש כוח גדול.
כל היהודים.
I'd like to ask everybody on this chat, in honor of Rabbi Wilhelm and everybody else there, if you don't put on tefillin every day, maybe to make a commitment to put it on every day, maybe make a commitment from now until Pesach at least, something, 5 weeks, make that commitment. Hopefully after, you'll decide after. And for the women, if you're not lighting Shabbos candles regularly, to also undertake that. And I'll suggest that if you do put on tefillin every day, and if you're a woman who's lighting Shabbos candles, try to find one more person to undertake this mitzvah, and that will be our help that we could do from here. Yeah. Rabbi Wilhelm, thank you so much. Now it's almost 4:00 in the morning there. Get some rest before your long trip. One more question, for me at least. How long is the journey tomorrow when you leave, till you get to the border? Wie lang nimmt es zu Kirchen bis in Grenitz?
Wir können nicht wissen, weil sie stoppen eine Sache in den Weg und sie nimmt einmal eine Zeit. Zur Reisung von zhitamir jetzt ist noch zur Reisung von zhitamir, es nimmt den ganzen Show.
On a normal day, how many hours?
It is 500 kilometers.
500 kilometers is the distance. Okay, so now it depends on how many stops they're going to make them stop. I said now just to get out of the city, it's an hour, yeah. With all the check.
So minimum bis the Grenze, ich meine 12 Stunden.
You believe 12 hours? Okay, it's 12 hours. That's a little longer than normal, yeah. Okay. Okay, because we're hearing some people took them 3 days to travel. Maybe they came from further to the border.
Von weiter, von Kharkov, von Kiew, bis mir geht Arois ganz mischut. Zur Reise von Kiew zu zhitamir, die Woche, Menschen, das heißt, sie anderthalb Stunden, sie genommen 10 Stunden. Von Kiew zu zhitamir.
What's crazy is, more crazy to add to the whole craziness, is I was reading the book about my father in 1946, when the war was finally over, but the communist Russian was so difficult for the Jews that they wanted to leave. So many Jews, including my father was a baby, was born at that time while the family was running away. My grandfather came out of the Red Army, and together the family, together with a couple of hundred Hasidim families, Chabad families, in 1946, they traveled across Russia all the way to Lvov, which is what people are doing now, to the Polish borders. And in 1946, the end of 46, the Polish government opened up their borders. If any Polish people escaped Poland during the war, they said you're allowed to come back into Poland. So all the Jews went to Lvov. They made fake passports to get into Poland because Poland allowed you to get back in, so to speak. So they made these passports, including the Deitsch family and many others. And from Lvov, which is what Jews are doing, what everybody's doing today. The same concept is going on so many years later. It's mind-boggling that the same system we did then, and some are smuggling out, like you said, your whole 100 people, and people are, I guess, many legally, but it's the same concept that we're running the same direction. It's just mind-boggling when I think about it. This the heartbreaking of all of this.
ההיסטוריה חוזרת, לצערנו.
Yeah.
ההיסטוריה חוזרת. My family also came through the same route.
The same route, you see. But you see, the story is repeating. But on the other hand, Baruch Hashem, today, Israel is what Israel is today, a lot better than we were in 1947, right? So at least now, like you see with that group, they could figure out Israel will come and bring some planes. We'll take them there. There's once you get out of the country, there's a little light to the tunnel. I feel like the Jews 60 years ago or 70 years ago, they came to Poland. Now what? They come to France. Now what? Right?
Thank God there is an Israel.
That's what I'm saying. The blessing and the devotion of how many Jews that were involved in building up Israel, and of course the self-sacrifice of how many people have to unfortunately give up their lives to keep Israel the way it is. But yes, you're right, Baruch Hashem, we have to fend for ourselves. That's the bottom line.
We have to keep our Israeli passports so we can run when we need to.
That's right.
I would like to add something more to this. Beyond laying tefillin, that's very, very important.
Just 1 second, George. Just 1 second, George. Rabbi Wilhelm, in 5 more minutes, we'll for sure cut it off. So you'll go back to sleep. Sorry thank you. Yes, George,
okay.
Go.
So what I wanted to say is that, of course, tefillin and Shabbos candle is very, very important. But I think it is now is the time for our kahila to help financially this community to help cover some of the expenses and the food. And I think it is very, very important to step up here and do something, Rabbi.
Thank you for mentioning that. That's very kind of you, 100%. And I'll just say that I have a funnel account that goes from Chabad of Midtown to Rabbi Wilhelm and to a few of the other communities. And the reason why I like giving it to these communities, because we know them firsthand. We know exactly that it's getting into the right hands and nobody's taking off anything. So for anybody that would like to make a donation, you could do it on Chabad of Midtown's website. You'll get your Canadian receipt, and I'll organize the money to Rabbi Wilhelm to do whatever he has to do to continue doing what he's doing. Yeah, 100%, no problem. Just write in the note that this is for Ukraine and consider it done. Yeah, with pleasure. Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rabbi Wilhelm. Again, Hatzlacha Rabbi, and we hope to have you again in a simcha dika way, in a peaceful shalom dika way. And may we all merit to come to the land of Israel together with the coming of Mashiach, B'karev Mamish. It was great to have everybody on. So we'll conclude for now. Thank you, Rabbi Wilhelm. Again, a Nasiya Tova, wherever you have to go.
Shalom.
Shalom. Gute Reise.